right?
Yes, Prof. Yes.
Okay, let's begin. So we are going to talk. Good evening, everybody. So we are going to talk about literature review and searching for literature. All right. This is my information. Right. So what is literature review? Literature review is basically one of the chapters in your research report, your dissertation, your thesis, depending on what level of research you are doing or what level of which program you're taking. All right. But of course, all of you are Master of Public Health and Master of Epidemiology. All right. So your literature review would be on your research report, which basically you're looking at chapter 2, which is your literature review. So the question is, what is literature review? All right. So literature review is the second chapter of your thesis, as we show you just now. Also, it is a summary of literature on the topics of your research. Or is it something more? All right. So let us take a moment and think, what is the role of literature review in your context? Is it just a exercise, or what we call just a mechanical thing that you do so that you can complete your complete the task that you're doing? All right. So what do you think?
The
Right,
process
why?
for you to critically think and analyze what has been done before.
All right, great. So basically, it's for you to, you're supposed to go and critically think and analyze what has been done before, so that you can actually look at it whether if this topic is suitable or this topic is what I'm going to carry on. All right. So anything else, or this is this topic that I can conduct, or anything else?
Like if you need a validated questionnaire, you can look at another literature for the validated questionnaires.
All right, so you can actually search for instruments or for you to help you to do your research. All right, so you're searching literature to look at all the instruments available and you identify the most suitable instrument. All right, so and then you want to identify whether the instrument has been validated or has been culturally adapted to your setting. All right. Then, of course, literature review is about critical review and analysis. All right. So, a critical analysis of existing literature in your field. It highlights both the strength and the weaknesses of existing literature. So, it also allows you to gain critical understanding of your field of study. It provides an opportunity for you to think of what you have been done in your field, and also opportunity to think about similarity, patterns, trend, and also differences across the existing research. You will also be identifying strengths and weaknesses of those papers that have been published. It also allows you to think about what has not been done or what can you do better in your field. So first of all, maybe you have not identified your field. Maybe you have not identified what kind of research you want to do. So doing a research review will be able for you to gain knowledge on which is the best way, what best topic will be to pursue. So let me see how many of you actually have already have a topic in mind, so that we can know. So some of you have topic already. Anyone of you have topic? Maybe you can just provide some of your topic so that we can actually maybe just think about it. All right. Never mind. We'll skip that. We just think about your topic, then we continue. Right. Critical review is about criticizing the paper that you have actually retrieved, or found. All right. So when we talk about critical review, so thinking critically is not just looking at the facts. Critical thinking differ for students at different level of academic career. So at undergraduate level, you are just backing up your points about appropriate authoritative sources. At master's level, you must demonstrate that you understand how knowledge is created. At PhD level, you must demonstrate that you can create new and original knowledge. And of course, professional academic, peer review, building a coherent body of work you own and assuring others work. All right. So, and when you become a professional, it is to review your peers' view and for building coherent body of work of your own and also assuring others work. Right? So you need to think critically, all right, of all the things, all the research that you have found, and before you actually continue with your mission. So you are master's level now. You need to demonstrate your understanding of your knowledge, how knowledge is created. So it also depends on where you are in your research journey. All right. Before the beginning, literature review is used for you to identify the gap in your study area to see how your research will be able to fill the gap. And then the beginning is when you start and when you continue to do research. All right, to look at the study. In the middle, this is where you are in the middle of your data collection and writing your report. Literature review is useful to put context to the data or result that you have found. Are those results coherent with the current understanding in your study area, or did you identify something different? And at the end, before submitting your research report, dissertation, or thesis for examination, it's important to go back to your literature review to ensure that literature is current. This is not dated. That means the information that you have is actually current. All right. So before the beginning, to find a suitable research topic or research question. So what is a suitable research question? Right? What can you think of a suitable research question? Is the Earth the center of the universe? Did you see something wrong there when the video was being played? Right? Is the Earth the center of the universe? Do you need to prove this or not? Anyway, and how are you going to prove it? All right? Or is the Earth flat? All right? So some questions already have a definite answer. These are questions that you should avoid. All right. We are just sharing with you the obvious and also providing you with opportunity to think. How did the researcher and scientists actually answer those questions? How did they answer that we are not the center of the universe, or the Earth is not flat? Think about it. Think about what Owen have went through the scientist's mind to come out to say that we are not the center of the universe, and the Earth is not flat. All right. So let's move on to the second part. All right. Let's continue. So finding a suitable question, identifying gaps in literature, establishing terms and context. How else will you define exactly what you're looking for and where its limit? You also need to identify the main idea. All right. That you have main idea. What is the main idea that has been you have retrieved and identify also future trends? What does the lecturer look at? What is the researcher looking at, and what are the future trends that they are suggesting? So we look at what are the strengths and weaknesses of the literature that you have retrieved. What evidence is lacking, inconclusive, or limited? What will you add to the topic? What will you do different? So it's very important that you need to think about what will you do different. Where do I, sometimes it is what we call, you don't know where you want to find research topic, correct? You don't know which research topic is suitable. Of course, you might have a suitable topic already, but having a suitable topic doesn't mean that the topic is suitable, or the question is a suitable question, or the question is current, or the question is what we call people are still asking, all right, or it is, or how to affect the future trend. So there's something you can do. You can identify 3 to 5 main journals in the field of your interest, all right? Review the title and abstract of all these articles published in the last year. Identify 3 to 5 key development and direction that in the field that you have actually interested in. Then summarize the finding and discuss it with your supervisor to assess the feasibility of the topic for your research. This is a way that you are going to have more comprehensive, extensive, and more the information you create, you get will basically will be supported by evidence that this is what people are talking about. This is what the issue has people are interested in. All right. So when we talk about journal in your field, we are talking about journal for specialty journal. All right. We're not talking about general journal like POS one, you know, or we're not talking about those type of journal. We're talking about journal that is published by association, society, colleges, faculty in which related to your field. For example, in the field of occupational and environmental health, there are 5 main journals. Occupational Environmental Medicine is published by BMJ. Occupational Medicine is published by Oxford Press, but actually is a journal of the Society of Occupational Medicine in the UK. Scandinavian Journal of Work and Environment is also very what we call famous journal in the field of occupational and environmental health. Safety and Health at Work is an upcoming journal from Korea. So looking at what we call local context or regional context. And Journal for Occupational Health is also looking at local context or regional context. All right. So this is what okay. So from these 5 journals, I would like to know what have they been doing for the past 1 year. So I can actually go to use PubMed to search for the journal. All right. And then by identifying the past 1 year, by actually doing what we call limiting it to 2024, 2025, then I can actually extract. We have actually found extract that and export that and into EndNote or into any other bibliography software that I can analyze and see what are the current trends, what are the things happening, how can I improve on that. You also can look at it from the perspective of, okay, let's just look at silicosis. You know, that's what maybe is my topic is silicosis, or my topic is talking about psychosocial safety climate, or my topic is about talking about noise induced hearing loss. So let's say you're interested in noise induced hearing loss, and you go to that journal, and in the past 1 year, nobody is talking about noise induced hearing loss. So there might be something wrong in the context of whether your topic is suitable or not. All right. So those are the things that you can actually use to identify topics if you are in doubt or if you don't have topics that you have to identify. Any question? Any comment?
No, at the moment, Prof.
All right, great. So if there's no comment, no question, then we can move on. All right. So what you're going to do, you're going to filter and you're going to develop your idea. All right. And with your idea, then you continue to the second part, which is when you're starting. So when you're starting, you say, okay, this is the area that I'm going to focus on. This is what I'm going to use. All right. And then at that point, you identify what's a gap in the literature, identify the main idea, identify future trend, but you have done it already. But you also find out what information already exists in the field that you are looking for, right? Identify the main methodologies of the research technique, what people are doing, what method people are using, answer the question that you are interested in, right? So that is also a kind of literature. That's also what you do for literature review. Not just looking at what topic is suitable, what are the prevalence, what are the risk factors, but also looking at how people have answered the question. So you will be able to understand on that. And this is also part of literature review, right? And find other people working in your field. It's important for you to understand that you need to find or need to identify who are working on the topic that you're interested in and what have been done for that topic. And of course, identifying the main theories. Main theories are what are the theory, how, let's say, different theory for different scope of work. So what are the main theory in that? So during your research and write-up, all right, that means in the middle of everything, this is when literature review is useful to put context to the data or result that you have, all right? So establish similarities and differences, provide a context to your own research, show the relationship between previous study and theories that you have actually used, whether the theory itself that you have, your theory that you have basically proposed, whether it is still stand, all right? And of course, before you submit your research report, dissertation or thesis for examination, it is important to go back to your literature review to see if anything has developed, discovered since when you started. Because sometimes you're talking about literature research report, no problem. You're doing it within the time frame of 6 months to 1 year. But let's say you're doing a PhD, your literature review might be 2 years old, all right? And you just put it there and you don't update it. Some people do that. After they have passed their what we call proposal defense, they just leave the literature review there and don't update it regularly. It is important for you to update regularly so that you ensure that your literature review is current and what you're doing is also still applicable, still current. All right. So review all theories. Make sure that the theory that you propose, there's no new development in the theory that you have proposed. And of course, review all your data with the research report. All right. So literature review is a process and an outcome. So what do you mean by process? It's a process for you to develop critical thinking, looking at the relevant research topic. Also, it's a crucial formative stage of your thesis writing, all right? Thesis journey. And it's an outcome as your chapter 2 of your research report, chapter 2 of your dissertation, chapter 2 of your thesis. It's a crucial and formative stage of your thesis journey. Let us pause again, all right? And let us think when you talk about what are the crucial formative journey of your research. Okay. Are you okay, all of you?
Yes, Prof.
All right.
Yes,
So let's
yes,
continue.
Prof.
Let's continue. All
Yeah.
right. So reading critically, let us not
Yep.
focus on what we should be doing when we are reviewing or reading literature that we have acquired. What do you mean by reading critically? And thinking critically.
So you also think also. You cannot like just
Yeah.
accept everything like that.
Yes. So So what you need to do is you need to look at it. All right. What we do is we understand what is the research, where is it conducted, when is it conducted, who conducted it, how is conducted. Right. It's easy and is easily obtainable from reading different sections of the manuscript. Correct. The question that you need to think critically, need to think clearly is why. All right. So why did the researcher found the result like that? All right. So what makes the research what we call what makes it relevant? All right. Or what makes the research answer the theory? Why the researcher have come up with a new theory? So what is new in the theory? All right. So what critical thinking can mean in terms of literature review is understanding the research on its own term, testing its viability, and understanding the research in relation to other arguments, and critiquing research in the relation to what you want to do. Think about your own literature review and think about how are you going to, what critical questions that you want to ask, what critical thing that you can do to look at your literature itself. Who are the key players in your field? What are the main ideas debate in your field? How have this idea changed over time? What are some of the problems with those ideas or debates? Is there a problem with the methodology? So those are the questions that you can ask, Those are the questions that you need to understand. Those are the questions that you need to focus on. All right. And what can you do differently? All right. So what is the thing that you can do differently? How can you differentiate between the research, the findings that you have found, and you can look at it? What different thing I can? Let us think of what we are doing. Key research and sources. All right. So first stage of the literature review is to identify the key people in your field and collate all relevant sources about your topic. What do you know by the key people in your field? I think I'd like to use this because it is important for you when you are doing a research. It's important for you to know who are the people that are doing research in your field. You cannot just go and think of a topic and then, okay, I want to do this topic without understanding who actually developed the theory, who actually first found out the problem, who actually first suggested that there's a solution. So it's important for you to identify the key person. Why? Because it is like intellectual mapping, all right, or positioning. Helps you to map the intellectual landscape of your field and also position your own research within the existing academic conversation. So look at research quality and relevance. Ensure your literature review captures the most significant and relevant research rather than the very free or outdated work. Also looking at gap identification to position your research to address meaningful gaps and research quality and relevance. And of course, by identifying people, you can actually facilitate academic networking, potential academic connection. You can write to the person if you don't understand. You can write to the person and ask them, I'd like to learn more about your research, or I like in this paper you have written this. Can you? Is that? And but I think it's differently. So all those things allow you to get academic networking as well communication, and also provide a methodological guidance. So key researchers often establish methodological precedents. That's why I say you need to understand what method are going to be used and how to use those methods. And of course, it allows you to, for your publication strategy, helps you to develop your own publication strategy. So it helps you understand which scholar have influenced policy, practice, and theoretical understanding in your particular area of focus, ensuring your work looks meaningful to establish foundation while contributing something genuine new to the field. Right. Sit down, think, who is the key researcher in your field? I need 3 answers from 3 of you. I need 3 of you to volunteer to talk about this thing. All right. Tell me what's your research area, and tell me who do you think is the key research in your field, or key people who have been the one that developed the theory, the one that proposed the intervention, or anything that. Anyone? Want to volunteer? Yes, just say your name and then we just talk about what topic of research you're doing and who do you think the key research key player or key people is in it.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, if you don't mind, I'll try lah, right? So I
No
think
problem.
yeah. So I'm Sean.
Sean, okay.
Yeah. So maybe let's say my field is mental health lah. So I would like to think of the first person I think of is head of department of psychiatry department in UMMC. Then of course when I think of the NCMH, National Center of Excellence for Mental Health, and also someone from KKM who is in charge of mental health. So these are 3 people which I would be considering.
Okay, so you're doing mental health, all right? You say KKM. Who is the key person in KKM? Who is driving mental health issue in KKM?
The NCD department could. So who?
Not is who. Is who. It's not a department, it's who. Who is driving mental health in KKM?
Dr. Noah Shikin?
Yes, okay. Shikin is driving mental health in KKM, all right? So, but Shikin is not a researcher, correct?
Right.
So if Shikin is not a researcher, so have she developed any theory? Okay, never mind. Let's just focus on Shikin. From Shikin perspective, what do you want to get from her?
From her will be resources law. So in regards to what resources KKM has been doing, and then how can I tap into their existing database to do my research?
Okay, so from that perspective, it's good. But again, what theory is she developed? Things like that. All right. Anyone else? Okay, so Sean have volunteered. We need 2 more person.
Prof, I'm Sai.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. So mine is on like social determinants affecting HB1C control among diabetics in Klang Valley. Okay, so my key person will be the diabetic patients in Klang Valley.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, so basically like to I have to like get all these patients, and I have to like get their details on like their education, their work, and their income, and how all these actually affects their HbA1c control.
Okay, all right. I think that's why it's nice for me to hear from you all right? But never mind. Before I give my comment, can I ask Haikal? Haikal put up his hand.
Hi, Prof. Hi, Carl.
Yeah.
I was thinking to conduct research on some needle stick injury at my at UMMC, because since there are quite a number of needle stick injury at my at workplace. But then I have discussed with my supervisor, and he says that there are many research has been done on regarding needle stick injury, and he suggested me to do some research on this ergonomics, like some occupational health injuries during at the workplace.
So who do you think which researcher or which professor or who you want to read about and learn about all about ergonomics or all about
Ergonomics, if it comes to ergonomics, because I think Dr. Faiz in the OSHI department.
Okay, all right, very good. I think that's why I need you all to actually provide me with feedback, because then we can actually discuss further on what I mean about key player. All right, the key player, key people I mentioned here is about researcher. All right, not patient. All right, not field expert, but researcher. Because you're doing a research, and you're doing literature review on the research. If it's a field person, no problem, but the field person must have published extensively and must have published her theory or his theory for you to actually what we call learn. Right. So the people you have identified, they are very good in their field. I can say Dr. Faiz is very good. All right. Dr. Shikin is very good. All right. And of course, the patient is very important. But that would not help you in your research. What you want to get in your research is to look at what is the thinking that the main researcher in the field is talking about. All right. So it is important for you to know that. So why is it important? Because then your whole research, all right, you basically go around and learn about how this person has actually developed that area, and whether that area we still need to do anything more. Let me give you an example. All right, this is Professor David Cogan. All right, he is a professor in the University of Southampton, UK. All right, he has written a lot of books, and he wrote. Do you read textbook of occupational health? Occupational medicine, not occupational. Textbook of occupational medicine. Oxford one, right? You have seen his name, David Cogan. Just Google him, David Cogan, Prof. David Cogan, textbook of occupational health. All right, and also, of course, his what call that? His mentor, Keith Palmer. Right. So both of them are big figure in the field of occupational health. All right. So Professor David Cogan is a key figure in my field of study, work-related musculoskeletal disorder. All right. He developed the hypothesis that musculoskeletal disorder usually does not occur in isolation, but in groups or involving multiple joints and areas. He also proposed the cause of MSD is due to both physical and psychological issue. And in his paper, the paper that he looks at is Occupational Medicine at a Turning Point, which he published in 2005 in Occupation and Environmental Medicine, outlined that he proposed that much of the illnesses and disability which currently is attributed to injurious occupational exposure does not arise from underlying disease with detectable organic pathology, but rather is a psychological mediated response to an external trigger that is conditioned by the combination of individuals' characteristic and cultural circumstances. Right. So for me, my research area for my PhD is looking at musculoskeletal disorder among nurses, all right? And looking at it from the perspective. Musculoskeletal disorder, very simple thing, okay? When we are in medical school, all right, those who are doctors here, when you talk about back pain, all right, you talk about musculoskeletal pain, what are the risk factors? Can anyone tell me?
Heavy heavy lifting. I mean, someone who job.
Okay, so physical risk factor, no problem.
They are
What
not
other?
practicing body mechanic.
Okay, those are physical risk factor. Very good. What are the risk factor that you can get? There's more you're more prone for getting musculoskeletal disorder, especially back pain or not back pain disorder. All right. So all those things that you learn, all right. But those are the things that I think of, all right. As you mentioned earlier, okay, can be injury, can be what, all right. Also, who is more prone for getting musculoskeletal disorder, all right? Who's more pain for getting joint pain, correct? Okay. So from my research, I would read his paper. I would see how he developed his ideas, how the ideas changed from the editorial that is published in Occupation and Environmental Medicine in 2005, how the editorial changed. All right. So it is important for you all as a researcher to focus on that. You know, the people that you are mentioning just now, they are very good in their field, but they are not researcher in their field. They are not top researcher in their field, and they are not developing theories. You need people who develop theories that change the field or theories that direct the field. That's what the key person are talking about, and that is important. So each one of you, for each of your research, you must identify the key person in your field. All right. So that will be the exercise that I'll provide for you. Provide me with the topic. All right. The what we call that? The topic of your research, the title of your research, and give me 3 key people in the field of your research. All right. Is it okay? I will put it down as one of the exercise that you're going to do for this one. So that will provide you with some ideas of who are the key person and why, and tell me why you think they are the key person in the field. Okay? 3 people, who they are, why you think they're the key person in your field. It has to be a researcher, have to have published, developed theory. If it's a practitioner, no problem. He can be a practitioner, develop theory, and have published. Because if they're not published, you won't be able to read, you won't be able to understand, you won't be able to learn, correct or not, about what they're thinking, what they're taught. So you don't learn anything from there. All right. So you need to learn something from that perspective. Yeah, I'll put it at the side tomorrow. I will send to everybody. All right. So when you have already got your paper, so where do you read? You don't need to read every text. All right. You don't need to read every word. You just need to know what you want to read and how you want to proceed. So where do we start? What is your story? You have a title, you have a topic, you found that your key researchers is doing this. So what is your story? Why you want to do this? Some people say you want to do mental health. Some people say you want to do needle stick injury. Someone want to say he want to do diabetes. All right. So why you want to do diabetes? Have you spoken to anyone about it? Have you looked at it? Have you mapped your story or not? All right. Have you map your story? Map your story means that looking at it from perspective. So what are the things that are branching out from your idea? Whether it is a problem, or it leads to the outcome, or it leads to a different thing. So mapping your story or mapping your ideas will provide you with some direction of where I am, what I want to do, what is the issue with my field of study. All right. Of course, after you map your story, you need to tell someone, correct? You need to share your story, talk to people and say, this is what I think. What is your thoughts? Talk to your friend, you know. Don't just keep it to yourself. Don't just what you call that? Don't talk to anyone. Talk to your friend first. If you cannot talk to your friend, if you don't talk to your friend, go and talk to any of the lecturer. You know, my door is open. You make an appointment, you come in, you talk to me for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I will talk to you. You tell me your problem, I will listen. The only thing I'm not going to give you is an answer. I only give you questions. I ask you more questions for you to go back and think. I would not give you a definite answer because I don't want me to influence you what you want to do. I want to give you go back to think, and these are the questions that you need to think. All right, so that's why. Share your story. Share your story with your colleague. All right. Let's get started. You need to plan for your review. All right. You don't just say, okay, I want to do review. You need to plan for your review. How you want to review it. All right. So planning is about organizing the structure of your literature review. So where you want to start your story, and it helps you to actually think of what information you need. All right. What literature you need to review, what you need to do. As mentioned earlier, all right, you do literature review to find out the problem. But also you do literature review to find out the method, which is your instrument, whether your instrument is good or not, whether your instrument has been used or not. So you need to plan this out and plan out the structure of your literature review so that you can, okay, Section 1, I'll look at the problem. How bad is the problem? Section 2, I'll look at what are the instruments that I can use. Section 3, I will look at what are the solutions that people have been proposing. So planning of review is important. All right. It can be chronological, it can be thematic, it can be trend and approaches technique, it can be major debates or controversy. It can be probably the combination of everything. All right. You use mind map software. Of course, currently you don't need to use even mind map software. You can use generative AI to generate ideas for you, to provide you with ideas of how you're going to jot down your ideas, move them around, create links, put text or notes, swap between diagrams and outline, transfer to Word. All right. So it's better for you to get what we call a sticky note and start to stick around, start to look at it, like self-esteem of obesity in children, adolescent. All right. Look at it, look at the things, you know. What is it? Self-esteem of obesity, self-esteem theory, introduction, you know, summary, key question, key treatment, prospect studies, cross-sectional studies, you know, all those things are there. All right. And of course, you can start by sticking a sticky note on your wall by just looking at my question is dengue, and how can dengue cause severe infection? Just take all the ideas in between and then, okay, take a string and just click it 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can actually think of it. Of course, you can use generative AI, but generative AI would not allow you to think, would not allow your brain to develop. All right. Are you okay, everyone, so far?
Yes, Prof.
So far, so good, Prof.
Great. Okay. So now let's look at writing a review. Okay. We start with overview. All right. And then we say, okay, what do we want to write it? We to write it as a theme, trend, methodology, chronology, or controversy. So what are themes? All right. Or thematic. All right. Thematic is organized literature into sub section addressing different aspects of the topic. Group similar content by themes, example, healthcare policy, cultural factor, and effective for complex topic with multiple dimensions. So you cannot just say, okay, I want to do literature review, I want to do systematic review for what? Systematic review can be done for many things. Systematic review can be done for effectiveness of intervention. Systematic review can be done for what are the current incidents of the disease, what are the risk factors for the disease, what are the prevalence for the disease. So you are doing systematic review for every single aspect of your literature if you want to do it. And that is what is supposed to be done. Of course, you can even do systematic review to identify the best method or instrument to answer your problem. Let's say you're talking about quality of life questionnaire. All right. So how do you assess quality of life? How do you assess quality? What's the best question to assess quality of life in this group of adolescents, in this group of people? You just use what is available. Let us look at something much more personal or much more local, like the DAS 21, depression, anxiety, and stress scale, 21 item, used extensively all around. So is that the most suitable for your research? Are you looking at the depression, anxiety, and stress? When someone just looking at depression, then they use DAS. When someone just looking at stress, they use DAS. So DAS does not look that those three items are not individual. No, those three items are related to each other. It's not, although people think it's individual, those three items are related to each other. Depression, anxiety, and stress all are related. So you're looking at it from a relationship perspective, not looking at it from an individual perspective. So that's why I say we can use different teams to actually do the research. Of course, you can do it chronologically. We do chronologically because traces development of the topic over time, analyze pattern and turning point and key debates, right? It's when the idea change, that is important. When did the idea change? When did we actually change the idea? All right. Interpret how and why certain development occur. And so useful for showing evolution of public health approaches or policies or issues or things that have been done. Methodological compares results from different research approaches, as I say, to look at the methodology of the research itself, right? Contrast qualitative versus quantitative research findings. What can you do? Why is the qualitative findings? What quantitative finding? What is quantitative finding? What is qualitative finding? Evaluate empirical versus theoretical scholarship, and useful for public health topics studied through various methodological lenses. Bring it all together, all right? The final report may combine all the different type of writing style. For example, within a thematic style, the writing can also both chronological and methodological. Writing a review, you must use heading for different sections of the review. It's important to heading or subheadings. Provide a summative signpost of where your argument is leading. That means you cannot just abruptly stop, a paragraph. If abruptly stop paragraph, then you start the next paragraph is talking about different thing. Unless you have a subheading, if the paragraph is continuous, then when I'm reading it, I will say, what are you trying to say? Correct? You abruptly stop. Abruptly stop means that you don't tell me, okay, this is the end. After that, I'm not going to talk about it, or after that, I'm going to talk a controversial about that. So all those things are important. All right. Think about it. Think about how you want to write. Write as a thematic, write as chronological, or write that methodological. Summarize your review and highlight the gaps in the research. All right. So once you have done everything, you can summarize it. Especially, let's say you're summarizing a subsection. Summarize the subsection. Let's say subsection, we find this is the gap in the research. so that people are able to follow, are able to understand. Writing a review is not just about telling what has been published, not about presenting information that is already in the literature. It's also about presenting what you are thinking. What is your thought with all those literature? What's your thoughts of what people have written? What do you think? We want to know what you think, because what is already there is important, yes. But if you just present it like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, say this, A, K, F, F, C, that, you're not going to, people are not going to understand. So, what are you thinking? I want to know what you're thinking. You know, and if you don't tell them what you're thinking, they cannot read your mind, what you're thinking, and then it becomes a problem of you trying to defend later on, right? Defend what you're doing. You must be clear in writing. Tips of clear writing is clear instruction, overview of topic, start with overview, aim, review, and structure. You must have clear paragraph structure. So when you talk about clear paragraph structure, what you mean? Each paragraph must only tell one point, all right? Then after that, if you say, okay, one paragraph is not enough for 1 point, then you put 2 paragraphs. But it should be 1 paragraph, 1 point, then second paragraph will tell the same point, but on different thing and different thing. Don't combine 2 or 3 points in 1 paragraph, because then it becomes difficult for us to know what you're thinking. So paragraph is there for you to present usually 1 point, 1 idea. Let's say you're talking about prevalence. Prevalence is 1 paragraph. Let's talk about incidence. Incidence is 1 paragraph. Let's talk about prevalence in Malaysia is 1 paragraph. Prevalence in Asia is 1 paragraph or 1 section. All right. So those are the things that you need to think about when you talk about planning and writing clearly. Make sure the subject in your sentence is clear. What do you mean by subject? That means the topic that you're trying to share is clear. There's a subject. All right. You cannot just say, okay, I want to say this, but without having a clear idea of what is the subject. This is important. Don't assume knowledge. What do you mean by assume knowledge? You assume that not by saying something, and then you assume people would think of what you're thinking. We cannot read your mind. We can never read your mind. So if we cannot read your mind, so we won't know what you're thinking. All right? And that is the problem. We don't know what you're thinking, and you think that, oh, you should know what I'm thinking, because I have. When you're thinking and you're writing, but you're not writing what you're thinking in the writing, and that's the problem. So don't assume knowledge, and don't assume that people have the same kind of thinking as you. Make sure key terminology and difficult ideas are always explained thoroughly. Ask yourself, does it make sense? You must understand, although you say that, let's say I am in the field of occupational health, I know what you're talking about, but it's not important. The important is, does other people not in the field of occupational health know what you are talking about? That is more important, all right? Be objective and balanced. It's important. You cannot get emotional when you're writing, There's no emotion to it. You cannot, this is not a fictional story, all right? This is not a story. This is a story, but it's a scientific story. It needs to be objective, and you must need to be balanced. You cannot just become very emotional when you're writing. That basically fail or cause problem later, all right? As I say, you signpost to orientate reader. Signpost words is very important, all right? Don't assume knowledge. Don't assume the examiner know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're thinking now, correct? Remember what happened just now? When I asked you about key people in your field, and then you provided some idea, but you have not understand what I was trying to discuss, what I was trying to share, what I was trying to give you an idea of, correct? So don't assume examiner know what you're thinking. Write it down, write it clearly, write it succinctly. Succinct is very important. Succinct means you write it short. It's very, very important. Your critical voice and signposting. Try analyze and synthesize rather than describe. Right? What do you mean by that? This is one of the most common weakness we find in students writing their thesis, that they often only describe the findings or the evidence without internalizing. Internalize it. Read what? Read the information in the paper, internalize it, understand it before you write. And the evidence without, and then after that they write is usually written as researcher A found this in their research. Researcher B found that. However, researcher C found the opposite. So my question is, okay, those are facts, correct? Okay. I don't have to read your facts to know that, correct? Now I want to know is, what are you thinking? All right. The question is, what are you thinking? The question is also, so what? Okay, so what? What is so important to me? What's it so important to the reader? All right. And why do you think the researcher A, B, and C findings are different? All right. And how are you going to synthesize those information? So those are the things that you need to be clear of. All right. You cannot just say researcher A, B, C say this. All right. That's wrong. Right. You need to be clear of what ideas, how you want to do that. Right. These are one of the major weaknesses that I see when you're reading, that you are just reporting without analyzing or synthesizing. Okay, analyze means you break down complex information or for complex topic into smaller parts to gain better understanding of it, right? And synthesize is combining information from multiple sources to create a new understanding or produce new knowledge. So combining information means that not just saying that this person said this. Combining information means that synthesize it in a single sentence, not 3 different sentences saying 3 different things. Signposting is important. What is signposting? What is signposting word? Anyone knows what signposting word? Signposting word means like what we see here, all the signposts, all right, would lead people to know that the following sentence, the following paragraph, the preceding sentence, the preceding paragraph is different, the same from the previous one. So it's important for you to understand and internalize that. All right. So signposting words. Use signposting words to demonstrate how your texts relate to each other and also what you think of them. All right. Signposting word, transition or linking words, terms that guides the reader through the structure of a piece of writing, making it easier to follow and understand. That means you must be able to link your paragraph, link your sentence, and your whole thesis must be coherent. Whole thesis must have a flow. When we say there's no flow, means that you write one fact, then after that you jump to another fact, then you jump to another fact. There's no flow in how you write. There must be a flow, right? Like a river flowing. Okay, to indicate sequence and order, to compare and contrast, to add information, to summarize or conclude, highlights or emphasize, and to show cause or effect. These are some of the words that is basically you can use. All right. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, similar, likewise. However, in addition, furthermore, moreover. All right. So all these things, all these are words that you can actually use as some of your signposting. I have included an article on what is signposting word. Read that and understand that. All right. Paragraph and flow. As I mentioned, flow is important. How you structure your paragraph also is important. Topic sentence, discuss the topic and closing sentence. Thematic and grammatic links, logical progression from one paragraph to the next, demonstrate links in your language. A paragraph is a distinct section of writing that typically deals with single theme or idea. That's why I say one paragraph, one idea, one paragraph, one fact, one area. Don't go and put too many things in one paragraph. Maximum 2 ideas. If not, then your whole paragraph would be very difficult to understand, very difficult to read. All right. And the other thing about writing is that you need to write in a succinct manner. Succinct means you don't need to write flowery language in the scientific writing. And you write usually even in a sentence, you don't have too many connections. Have one idea in a sentence, then full stop, then move on to the second sentence. So people will be able to get what you want to say, and then they move on. If not, your sentence becomes so long and people don't, at the end of the sentence, people don't know what you're saying. Illustrate trend, synthesize literature, all right? Avoid list-like structure with illustrate trends and patterns. Don't just list like what you said, what we mentioned just now, all right? Don't just list the findings and then, okay, and then you don't, when you after listing a finding, you don't provide your input, don't provide what, don't tell us what you're thinking, all right? So avoid list-like structure. For example, researcher into these titles have emphasized the use of colon to distinguish the thematic focus from the phrase focus of the word. All right, so it's not very easy to understand. All right. Okay. Now we move on. Any question? This is any question about citation? No. Any question about the things I presented earlier? Signposting. Do you understand about signposting? You okay?
Yes, Prof. Yes.
Yes, Prof.
All right. Now let us look at
Yes, Prof.
citation. All right. Use of citation. There's 2 types of citation, correct? Yeah. Integral citation. So the author's names appear in a sentence. Example, using author date system, release 2001. That's how you cite. All right. You don't have to cite again at the end of the sentence. Argues that both tutors and students often lack explicit knowledge of the conversation governing the construction of the academic text. Non-integral, the author's name appears outside the sentence. Example, both tutor and student often lack explicit knowledge of the conversation governing the construct of the academic text. Can I have 2 volunteers or 1 volunteer to tell me what is the difference? To tell me where you use this, to tell me why you write it this way. Anyone? 2 volunteers. Besides those have spoken earlier.
Prof. As
Haika,
for the first one, integral
Haika want to volunteer, go, no problem, Haika.
is as for the first one, integral is actually like something like we call it narrative citation, and then the second one is a parenthetical.
And what does that mean? Can you please explain that more clearly so that we can understand what you're actually trying to say? Haika,
Yes, Prof.
can you explain that again so that we understand what you want to say?
Actually, both no as for this integral one, usually we will cite the author's name at the front, and then the other one as for the non-integral, we'll actually cite the author's name at the back. And these 2 differences is like the paragraph, the bracket of the year published, as for this integral one is the we only put the paragraph in the year published. As for the non-integral one, we actually put the whole paragraph, including the author's name, followed by the comma and also the year published.
Okay, the question is not how it's written. All right, the question is why do we write it? I'm not asking you what are the how is it done. All right, I'm not asking you what it means. I'm asking you why is it written this way? What's the difference between the two writing? Not in the style, but in the context of the writing. What is the difference in the context of the writing? Anyone? Just just try and read the two sentences. All right, just read the two sentences and tell me. Just think about it. What is the message that you catch? The two sentences from the two sentences. What is the emphasis? Okay, let us use a better term. What's the emphasis of the information presented in sentence one? What's the emphasis of the message presented in sentence two?
Prof, can I try?
Can.
Okay, so basically the integral one is like they are directly analyzing like what the context is trying to say about, whereas the non-integral one is stating the what is the text saying.
No, just use the sentence. It's easier because then it's easier to explain. All right. When you want to explain something, use the sentence. All right. That we presented and try to explain that.
Okay,
using that sentence.
Integral, like it straight away says okay, the context, for example, okay, argues that both these tutors, they are analyzing the facts. It argues that both tutors and students often lack explicit knowledge of the convention governing the construction of academic texts. Okay. However, the non-integral one, okay, it says like both tutors and students often lack explicit knowledge of the convention governing the student and construction of academic texts. It's like it's like how do I put this? It's not analyzing the context, it's just stating the context.
Okay. It's actually not that. It's actually, if you look at it, all right. Look at it, is that first thing, it is not the second sentence is about the context, correct?
Yeah.
It's about, if you look at it's about the context, it's about that the tutor and student often lack explicit knowledge of the convention governing construction of academic text. All right. So it's about the context, correct?
Yeah.
The first sentence is about the person. The person, Lily, actually says that. All right?
Yeah.
So the first person is not about the context. It's about the person. Okay. So you are saying that because the person says it, you need to come back to come back later and tell me, okay, if this person say this, what else is this person saying? It's not the context. You read clearly. You read, Lily's argue. That means it's not the context. Lily argue. You're talking about Lily. Lily is the subject. All right?
Yeah.
So Lily is the subject. Lily is arguing. All right. But if you talk about Lily is arguing, good. But what is the best way for you? Which is the best way for you to cite? You say Lily argue, or you cite the non-integral part, where you focus on the context of the knowledge, context of the ideas presented, which is lack of explicit knowledge. Correct. So the idea, the things I want you to get to focus on is that by writing as what the first way of writing is that you are actually emphasizing Lily, but not focusing on what is the evidence that you want to present. All right, you're emphasizing Lily. Let me say Lily argues because Lily itself is important. The second sentence, Lily is not important. Correct.
Yeah.
All right. So when
yes.
Lily is not important, what does that mean? So the question is, when do you want to put Lily as someone important? And when do you want to just put the facts without actually emphasizing on Lily's story? So that is the thing that you need to be clear about. So if you put a person, that means you put it as an integral part of your sentence. You're giving emphasis on the person who have done the research, and you only do that when you are going to think the person is important in your literature, in your research area, correct? That means the person is the one that has developed the idea, or the person that have come out with the questionnaire, or the person that have a key to the issue that you're discussing, because you're going to use the person again later on in your thesis, in your research report. If you're not going to use that person again, and you don't think the person is so important, why do you put the person as a subject? Emphasize the person, not the lack of explicit knowledge. So think about that. All right. Is everyone clear about that?
Yes.
Anyone else not clear? You can ask me a question you're not clear, so we can clarify the thing, and that's important because we need to clarify it. And I don't want you all to continue to make mistake that you all put so many people as an integral part of it. All right. So when do you use integral? To highlight the authors is one of the key people in your field of research. That's when you use integral, as I mentioned, to indicate that author is one who developed the theory or instrument. To show you should try to limit the integral citation, especially not for your research report, to 10 people or less, because there can never be so many people who are so important in your research that you have to mention them by name. Correct? You only mention people by name. You think that they're very important. They have changed the theory. They have come out with a new concept. All right. In this way, you highlight the importance of those people and show that you have read critically, which means that you know that these people are important. I'm going to mention these people again and again and again in my research, in my report, in my literature review, in my discussion, And I say, okay, this person I found this, but I found a different thing, and those type of things. So you don't really use that part of it, all right? And of course, citation and writing voice. Whose voice is dominant? Can you see? All of you? All right. The other one is basically the subject. Yeah, mentioning the person. Correct. Clear or not?
Clear, Prof.
So only the first sentence is basically talking about the moon. Correct. All the other sentence is talking about Brie. Correct. Brie is actually cheese, a kind of cheese. Okay, we're almost there. So editing and proofreading. It cannot be further emphasized that proofreading is very important. A good manuscript should have consistent in language and grammar, which means that you are using English, use it consistently throughout your manuscript. It's important to note that Universiti Malaya, we use English, all right? By being consistent and meticulous in writing your manuscript, it demonstrates to the reader and examiner, you have also do the same when conducting your study. You are meticulous. What does that mean? When I say that by being consistent and meticulous in writing your manuscript, it demonstrates to the reader or examiner that you have also do the same when you're conducting your study, i.e. meticulous. What does that mean?
Prof, may I try?
Can.
Then it shows a clear continuity. It doesn't feel like a patched up work. It feels like one whole piece of work.
One thing is like that. Other than that,
Attention to details.
correct. And what does that mean?
Being very precise and careful.
Okay, very good. And what does that mean? It's correct. What you say is correct.
Yeah.
But you show that to the examiner, correct?
Yes.
By having an error-free report, correct?
Yeah.
So what does it reflect on the work that you have done as part of your research? It
The person
reflects,
has put in effort and
it reflects that you also have done the same for your research, correct?
yeah.
That your data collection is meticulous, your thing is good, you know. So it shows that you are actually have done it the same for your research. If your paper itself is there's so many errors, so many issues, so many things like that, there's what would the examiner think? The examiner think if he's doing like that, writing up, how can I be sure that when she's doing her research, she knows what she's doing? She has ensured that everything is correct. Are you clear about that?
Yes, Prof.
Because why is it so important that you could write clearly, right, without error? Make sure that there's no issue. Because that's the only thing the examiner is reading. The examiner is not there when you're conducting the research. Even you're doing very well, you got all the problem, you have solved all the problems, solved all the issue, you've done all your work. But once you write poorly, the examiner will think, oh, this fellow is not don't know her work, or does not know how to write properly, or making all the mistake. Maybe she have done the same mistake when she's doing her research. Correct. The examiner only reads your report. The examiner is not there when you're conducting the study. The examiner won't know what you're doing. So if you don't write it clearly, don't make sure there's no mistake, the examiner will think that you make the same mistake while you're doing conducting study. Clear? Everybody? So make sure you edit and proofread. Editing is a process of continually revising and improving your written work. It is often an activity that forms a major part of your writing process. And proofreading is a final check before printing the submission. It is a process that helps you remove errors and improve presentation. Finish editing, go to sleep, read again tomorrow before you submit. Don't finish editing, straight away submit. Then you'll definitely have a mistake. Finish editing, finish already, go and sleep, have a nice sleep, wake up, then read again, make sure there's no mistake. Are you clear? You should do that, all right? What to look for? Consistency is one of the things that examiners are concerned with. Consistent in writing style. What do you mean by consistent in writing style? Make sure the right style is your writing style is consistent. Because one thing that we pick up when there's inconsistency is that when you're not consistent, or you're not clear, you don't know what you're doing. Formatting must be consistent. Language must be consistent. Either use British English or use American English. But in UM, we ask you to use British English. Spelling also, that's British English. All right. Decimal spaces used for the same measure should be consistent. Like percentages, p-value should be consistent. You want to use one decimal for percentage, doesn't matter. Use one decimal for percentage, but make sure it's consistent throughout your writing. You want to use 2 decimal for p-value, no problem. Use 2 decimal for p-value, make sure it's consistent throughout your writing. You want to use 3 decimal for p-value, use 3 decimal for p-value, no problem. Make sure it's consistent throughout the writing. It is very important Be consistent, correct? Because then people will know that you are meticulous. You know, last time my supervisor, when I was doing my PhD, would look at my writing and say, oh, you have one more space there. Space, a space within the sentence, then one extra space, she will correct that. All right. So that is how meticulous my supervisor was, and that's how that's due to that why I learned to become more meticulous. All right, it's important to get. Question. Reference format should be consistent and follow the style that is indicated for the journal or for the research report. Consistent referencing style. All right, we'll teach you how to do referencing, and you can read that. All right. Evolving literature review, not something that you could do and forget. Your field constantly evolving and changing. Learn the models from a good thesis. Read reviews in prestigious journal in your field. Things to remember: you are writing a scientific write-up. Avoid getting emotional, as I mentioned earlier. Don't get emotional. Don't become too personal, too emotionally involved. All right. Read the sentence and tell me what you think. Even though if you find this, you cannot use those words, unprofessional. How can you, what do you define profession? How can you define profession? What do you mean by unprofessional? Okay. So what is the purpose of a literature review? How to structure your review chapter? Example, this is one of the research I did. This is the research that I did for my Master of Occupational Health in Turin. All right. And determinants of multi-site musculoskeletal disorder among school teachers in Malaysia. Outline of chapter. This is the outline of my chapter. All right. Look at the literature review. All right. Look at the, sorry, this is the background. Chapter 2 is background. Then is literature review. And look at how I structured the whole thing. I have a summary. Okay. Summary for each part, because I do to summarize the findings of burden of musculoskeletal disease. To summarize the risk factor for musculoskeletal disease. To summarize the finding for multi-site musculoskeletal disorder. So those are the things you must focus and think of how you want to do your research. All right. Should I conduct a systematic review? As I mentioned earlier, depending on what you're doing. All right. Summary. Use clear heading and subheading. Divide your review into meaningful sections. Employ logical progression from one section to another. Ensure signposting throughout to guide readers to indicate your critical perspective. Include your own voice to comment and to evaluate the literature. Write so what summary sentences to help readers understand the relevance of each section. So what? As we always say, this is the terminology I got from my teacher when I was doing my Master of Public Health 20 over years ago. So what? They asked me, so what? So what? I cannot answer. When I go and I talk to him and say, so what? I say, so what? I cannot answer, because at the end what you do is so what? The findings you find is so what? So that's why if you want to do a research, you've got to start with the problem so that you can know, so what? I find this to solve this problem. All right? So if there's a problem, you do it. Okay? Remember, the literature review should not just summarize what other people have said, but also should present a critical argument from the strengths and weaknesses of the existing research and clearly shows how your research fits within the field. All right? So thank you very much for you all.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
So the next one is
Thank you, Prof.
you're doing your search on literature, correct?
Yeah.
Can you just read that, all right, and understand that, all right? And I would try and basically we would go, if you have issue, come back and discuss with me. All right, how you going to solve the issue? All right, okay.
Okay.
Are you okay, everybody?
Yes, Prof.
Yes,
So
Prof.
the other thing that you need to do is for your next class, you need to read that, and I will send to you the exercise. You need to divide yourself into groups, So there would be a what we call that grouping. There would be a grouping. You must select your group manually, lah. That means you select it yourself. All right. So make sure. How many of you here? Sorry. How many of you are in this? How many of you have registered? I see 31 of you here. Besides that, who else is here? No. How many have registered? I think 40 something, is it, or 30 something? Anyone know?
Sorry, no idea.
No idea. All right. Never mind, I will find out from the spectrum itself. So if your name is in the spectrum, that means you are what? So all of you have access to spectrum, huh?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
yes.
So you have access to spectrum. Make sure you go and see the other video that I have uploaded for searching for literature. All right. We will discuss on how to search for literature. Okay. And then you can actually go and try yourself and give your topic. And I will ask you to develop the PICO based on your topic. All right.
Okay.
So 2 exercise today. 2 exercise. One is the first exercise is what,
Identifying the 3 key person.
Okay. So there's 2 exercises. I'm going to put it on tomorrow. So one is that first you must give us your topic, all right, of research. Then you identify the key person in your topic, okay, and tell me why you think so. Second one is that you're going to do your do the same thing. You're going to develop a search strategy, all right, based for the PICO for identifying the PICO or the PEO or the DDO, which you're going to learn later. How you're going to do it, all right? So I'll put that up in the spectrum itself, and then you can upload in the spectrum. I'll give you time to do it. Don't worry. It's just an exercise. It's not a what we call. It's not. There's no marks to it. All right. It's not assessment. It's just an exercise for you to learn. Okay. To think about it. All right. So you need to think. Don't submit too quickly. Think about it before you submit. All right. Who's the key person in based on your topic? Why you think that person is a key person? Right? It must be a researcher. Must have published. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend and Selamat Hari Raya. Maaf Zahid dan Batin. Okay, so there'll be nothing after this. All right, so you just continue with your further activity lah. All right, and selamat berbuka puasa to all the
Selamat berbuka,
Muslim.
Prof.
Yes, all right.
Okay,
Selamat Hari
Prof.
Raya.
Thank you, Prof.
Selamat Hari Raya to everyone.
Okay, bye bye.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Bye.
Thank you, Prof.